But the whole idea of race was shocking for me. It really was, because it wasn't a conversation I grew up having. Colorism was there, but it wasn't really conscious for me either.
Right.
It was when I came into the US that I was forced to learn.
Yes, it can impact you economically. It can impact you psychologically. When I've worked with colleagues who came here thinking it was just going to be, the land of milk and honey, and then realized that they were the areas to success based on their skin color. You had a hue that was going to not be favorable in some type of advancement or coursework or what have you.
One of the reasons why Jamaicans do not see colorism and texturism for the dehumanizing concepts that we inherited, it's because of the subtle and almost playful way in which we are indoctrinated towards these ideologies. But the issue of Afro-Latinismo and anti-blackness and anti-negrismo was something I observed through Latin American literature first. And the major philosophy or ideology per se in Latin American community regarding this colorism is called mejorar la raza, to improve the race. Basically means if you're born of a darker shade in Latin America, it is your duty to get rid of that blackness by marrying into or trying to procreate with someone who is of lighter complexion or of a lighter race per se. No, the bad thing in Latin America is that most Hispanic people, even though this was an official policy, even though it's there and it is real, you'll find very few Hispanic people who admit that this is a thing. Even though it's real and you can see it and you can touch it, these countries also have a policy where they also say it did not happen or it didn't exist. So one, it exists, but some of the governments of these countries have adopted a policy to ignore the history or the presence of this. So most people, even though they know about it, they just pretend that it doesn't happen at all. And this is one of the reasons you realize that if you're trying to speak about racism or colorism in Latin America, it becomes very hostile very quickly, because you're looking at the evidence and they know the evidence, but they ignore it. And at sometimes the ironic thing is that their pushback at you, at a darker person in this conversation, is to use racism or colorism to try to defend their policies, to say that this doesn't exist. In Jamaican society, growing up, and even now, I don't think Jamaicans understand just how deeply dehumanizing it is to believe that something is wrong with your skin and something is wrong with your hair. And it's a contradiction to what Jamaicans as a religious people, we believe that God made us all equally and he loves us equally. However, we also believe that we have inferior skin compared to other races, and that's where the racial part of religion comes in. A lot of Jamaicans will never admit how religion came to be a part of our lives, or Christianity become a part of our lives, that Christianity was introduced via racism and double T supremacy. But that's a conversation I won't have now, because it will take away from the fact what I'm talking about now.